Welcome back to Passionate Pursuits, powered by Corns Coaching, LLC. I'm your host, Bridget Corns. And today I am doing another solo cast. As you can see, we have guests coming back soon, I promise, but it's been a really interesting season of finding my voice, of finding my flow in my work, of allowing and receiving versus striving and pushing. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. The energetic differences between allowing and receiving and striving and pushing. So, leading into this season, I really had kind of a fire under my butt to need to make things happen. I needed to be able to pay bills. I needed to have a full-time job, which I've had consistently, but I was self-employed. And what I really needed was the security of providing for a family with a full-time job where I wasn't self-employed. So I had to find a full-time job. I had to get back into that kind of grinding feeling of working day after day after day and doing the same thing over and over. And, or at least that's what I thought. I thought that was what I had to do in order to make things happen. So as you notice, all the words that I'm using to describe this are striving and pushing and grinding and hustling and making things happen versus this sort of open, receptive posture of allowing and receiving and really sitting in and finding my flow and finding and connecting with what feels authentic and good and comforting and maybe even exciting, but not in the nervous excitement way, but in the, ooh, there's something really exciting here that's connecting with my heart and with my intuition and with my higher self and embodying that. So I had to get really clear as I was coming into this season of I was making it work, but I was barely making it work. I had a full-time job that was paying the bills, but just barely squeaking by. There was nothing left at the end of the month. And it's been a long time since that's been the case in my life. I've always been super frugal and really focused on working and saving and not spending. So this was like the first time in my life that I was starting to feel the pinch of, wow, what do I do if at the end of the month, I'm really scared that we're not going to make it to the next one financially. And I'm not saying that to brag that I was in the position of being able to save, because I've never made an exceptional amount of money. What I've learned to do is make do with less than what I make, even if that means that I am feeding a family on rice and beans and ground turkey, pasta, inexpensive secondhand produce, whatever I had to do, I would do to make sure that we were saving instead of spending it all. So it wasn't that I was making an excessive amount of money ever. It's just that I had learned how to save really well. And so being in that position, I felt all of a sudden this little bit of scarcity and a little bit of anxiety, and like I had to make things happen in order to stay afloat. And that is never a position energetically that you want to put yourself into, but also it's really hard. I know that the majority of families, especially right now, are really familiar with being in this position of having to hustle and having to push to make things happen, and knowing that that food is only going to get on the table if they are going to that 9 to 5 and working their butt off, going to bed exhausted and feeling a little bit burnout. That is the reality for a majority of people right now. So I'm not discounting that. And trust me, I was there too. What I had to do to shift out of that was nothing intentionally that I had to push through, but was a mindset and a belief system and an energetic resonance and vibration that I had to find and I had to tune into. And so that doesn't happen by updating your resume. That doesn't happen by, applying to a whole bunch of different jobs. How that happens is really honestly through stillness, through meditation, through prayer, through centering, through mindfulness, through grounding yourself in the feeling, in the energy of the sensation that you want to embody. So if I want to wake up feeling grateful, feeling totally taken care of, feeling like it's ease, it's freedom, it's restfulness instead of that striving and pushing, then I don't have to do anything physically to make that my reality. Quite the opposite way around. I actually need to embody those feelings before any of the circumstances that would create them are present. I'm going to say this one more time because this is the key to this entire super short podcast. The key to something shifting in your life that allows you to go from resolving and striving and pushing to allowing and to receiving and to being pulled in that flow, the key to that is not changing your circumstances, but changing your energetic resonance, changing the feeling that you feel when you wake up in the morning, when you notice that you're feeling a certain way through the day. That is the key. So what does this look like in practice? So I didn't change my job. I was still in the job that I had taken at the beginning of the year. And I love my coworkers and I loved what I was getting to do and pouring into the community that I was in. There was nothing wrong with that. What was wrong was that even though I loved it, thank goodness I loved it, but even though I loved it, I wasn't making enough to feel comfortable and to feel taken care of and to feel like I could really provide for my family. And that was a problem. So energetically, I would notice throughout the day, I would tune in, I would do these self-checks, these tune-ins. In this moment, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I don't want overwhelmed to be my reality. So instead, I'm going to take 2 deep breaths. I'm going to drink some water, and I'm going to remind my nervous system that we are not in fight or flight. There is no danger right now, that I am joyful, that I love my coworkers, that I love the job I'm doing, that I'm so grateful that I'm provided for, that all of my family's needs are taken care of and abundance is heaped on top of them, and that I can breathe and rest, release my shoulders, and just sink into that feeling of presence and of gratitude. And anytime that I would start to notice that my vibration was shifting, that I was getting thrown off, that I was feeling dysregulated, I would sink right back into that practice. What do I want my circumstances to make me feel like? I want all of my circumstances to line up with me feeling free, with me feeling like I can breathe and I can take up space and I'm joyful and I'm provided for. There's abundance. I'm grateful. And then I embody them. And even though the circumstances at the times when I was doing this exercise were certainly not creating those feelings in me, I was calling the circumstances in that would create those feelings by starting with the belief that I am provided for, that we exist in abundance, that we are blessed, that I am joyful. I would start from this fertile ground of those feelings and those beliefs. And I would convince my body that this was true. This is the case. And this is exactly where I'm operating from. So with that in mind, what we do to shift our circumstances is not take action on the circumstances themselves. It is take action on the one thing that we can control, which is ourselves. It is telling ourselves that we already exist in the state that we want our circumstances to put us in. It is reminding our mind that the thoughts and the beliefs that we hold are creative. We are literally sparks of the divine. We are pieces of the Creator who brought this reality into being through the Creator's vibration, through their words, through their breath, through their light. All of what exists was birthed. And therefore, we are part of that, and we are creative forces. So when I say, God, Spirit, I want to co-create with you. And what I want to co-create is abundance, is joy, is freedom, all goodness. That's what I want to co-create. And I start inside myself, reminding myself that I embody my reality, and then my reality shifts. So let's get back to, what does this look like in practice? So what happened was I was going through this exercise of constantly checking in with myself. What vibration am I broadcasting? What reality am I creating by the feeling that I'm holding, by the beliefs and the thoughts that I'm telling myself? What is my nervous system doing right now? And what do I want it to do in response to my circumstances? And then this beautiful thing happened. I was noticing that people were interacting with me differently. I actually had people come up to me and say, we don't know what's going on with you, but you're never flustered. You're always grounded. You're so comforting to be around. We don't know what it is, but we just noticed and we wanted to tell you. And that started bringing in opportunities to speak with people. People would just tell me things out of the blue that I didn't ask them to tell me. And sometimes those things would open doors that I didn't even know existed. And exactly when all of these things started to shift, I received an email from a job that I'd applied for months prior that said, we don't know if you received our email, but we want to bring you on board, and we're reaching out again because we're ready to get you started. Something energetically, I believe, shifted when I put myself into that receptive mode of God, the universe, spirit is always conspiring in my favor. We are always co-creating together. And when I allow that goodness and that abundance to come through me, then I welcome with open arms opportunities that line up with that vibration that I'm broadcasting, that vibration of abundance, of joy, of blessing, of openness, of peace, of goodness. And now here in the new year, I get the opportunity to work from home again, which I love and I knew I loved. I get the opportunity to work one-on-one with students, which I adore. That was my favorite part of my job before, was being able to work one-on-one with students, being part of their lives. And now I get the opportunity to embody that again and to bring that back into my life and to enjoy what that feels like. And guess what? What this new opportunity feels like is the abundance, is the blessing, is the joy, the peace, all of those things that I had been embodying before and welcoming my circumstances to bring into my life. They have come through this opportunity that I believe unlocked because I opened and I was in this receptive mode of, I know that God and the universe want to bring these things to me. And the only thing that's stopping and blocking them is not my circumstances, but the creative vibration that I'm existing in. So if I can encourage you with this, I would say, whatever you want to come into your life, whatever feelings you want to feel on a regular basis, whatever you want your circumstances and the people in your life to do to you, start with the belief, with the thoughts and the feelings that you want. And then the circumstances that align with those, the people who align with those will rush into your life like this open valve, like this stream of goodness. Try it out. Let me know what happens for you. And of course, if you ever want guidance around any of these things, if you want to talk to someone who's practicing this on a regular basis, send me a message, comment, email me, get in touch with me on Facebook or Instagram. I love to connect with people, and I would love to connect with you and to help you bring these things about for yourself in your life. So, blessings, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful new year, and I can't wait to connect and see how these things are playing out in your lives as well.